Well, good day, everybody, and welcome to another live stream on this Sunday afternoon at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, or if you're in the central area, I believe it is 2 p.m. Your time. Today, I am your host, the wonderful Chris Claus. Yeah, that's right, people. Um, Maybe not wonderful, but definitely loud and talk a lot. Whichever way you want to look at it. So first off, I want to thank everybody for showing up today and listening to the live stream today. And today we will be discussing the perfect preservation of the Quran or lack thereof, depending on who you want to speak to. I know Muslims will say there has not been one error, one letter, anything missing since day one of the Quran till day whatever it is today in 2021. So they believe that they have a perfectly preserved Quran, which today we will dispel that notion. So, first off, I just want to let everybody know that I have my trusty friend with me today, Mr. John Isaac. John is the residential Arabic man of the room. How you doing today, John?
I'm okay. Hi, everyone. How are you?
So, other than that, hopefully we will have more on today. Typically, we have usually 5 or 6 people on the Cross and the Crescent discussion group, but apparently not today, especially when they only want me to speak. Yay, we have Isa Kabir. Good day, sir. And how are you doing on this wonderful Sunday afternoon, sir?
It's great. It's great. Thank you.
So today, I'm not sure if you know what's going on, Isa, but we are going over the perfect preservation claim of the Muslims, and I have certain things that I'm going to be sharing. If you do have anything that you want to share later on, please, by all means, jump in and we'll give you some time to do that. First off, though, if there is any Muslim out there that disagrees with the premise that the Quran is not perfectly preserved, I am now putting the link into the chat. So anybody that would like to come up and have a discussion on the perfect preservation of the Quran is more than welcome to. We invite Muslims on to the show. We would like to get their opinion on it and have a nice fruitful discussion. As now, a lot of people may not know, but I just got off a live stream. I had a live stream from 12:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time till 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I had 2 brothers on there. One being Jay from Jay Apologetics, and I also had Ask Truth from Ask Truth Apologetics. We were speaking on the atonement today, and today we had a gentleman named Khalil from the EA show. It was a very wonderful conversation. It was very genuine. It was a very good conversation. Nobody got upset. Nobody cut each other off. Everybody had their own valid time. There wasn't 3 Christians bombarding one Muslim. We had a very nice, fruitful discussion with the gentleman. I do want to say at least that. Khalil from the EA show is definitely a nice guy and can have a nice discussion with people. But moving on to that, we do have the topic of the perfect preservation of the Quran today. So today, because I because this has so much to deal with, and I had a few things done up on slideshow. I'm going to do the slideshow afterwards. I want to touch base on the startings of the Quran and certain dilemmas that they do have. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to post the link into the chat here. This is Sam Shamon's article on answering Islam. This is the Quran compilation. The compilation of the Quran. And I'm just going to read from here just so everybody has the link there. They can follow along as well. There exists within the Islamic community a major deception which has been circulating amongst the public in regard to the Muslim scripture, the Al-Quran. The deception relates to the supposed textual preservation of the Quranic text and the notion that the Quran remains virtually intact without additions or deletions, without any variant readings, which would call into question the integrity of the Muslim text. The fallacious argument, unfortunately, has convinced many lay people to believe that whereas the Bible has suffered textual corruption, the Quran is free from such tampering. It is thus claimed that based on this fact, the Quran is rendered superior and is a more reliable document than the Holy Bible. However, a close examination of the historical references regarding the compilation of the Quran demonstrates that the weight of the evidence does not support the Muslim claims. On the contrary, the evidence tends to support the fact that the Quran has suffered much in the way of transmission. Now, before I continue with going over Sam's article, the first thing that I would like to say is that when a Muslim says that the Quran is corrupt per se, or sorry, that the Bible is corrupt because of the textual variants, they don't actually mean that. Because if we took away all the textual variants that actually mattered in the New Testament, we still have the birth, the death, and the resurrection of our Lord and Savior. No change, no nothing to it at all. So, with that being said, we got another person here adding. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining in. So with that being said, when a Muslim says that the Bible's been corrupted, they actually have to say 100% of the Bible is corrupted or 0% of the Bible is corrupted. They're not able to go with a lower or a higher percentage than what I've given. Now, back to the Quran, let's examine the real truth of the transmission of the Quran. So the majority of our references will be taken directly from the Islamic scholars and the writings in order to avoid the Muslim accusation of Western scholarly bias, which, again, in the Muslim world, if you debate a Muslim and you quote a certain scholar, if this scholar is not an Arabic scholar, a Sunni scholar, and specifically a Sunni scholar that adheres to the same school of thought that they adhere to, then they will not accept that scholar. But that doesn't negate them from quoting, let's say, agnostics and or anybody else when it comes to them criticizing the Christian faith. So if Islam is being criticized, it has to be a Sunni scholar. If you're dealing with a Sunni, he has to be an Arabic scholar and he has to adhere to the same school of thought as the Muslim that you're speaking to. If a Muslim is debating a Christian, who cares? All those rules are out of the window. But continuing on. So, the first issue that needs to be addressed is the claim that a complete Quranic codex existed during the time of Muhammad. This claim finds no support since the first completed text was compiled during the caliphate of Abu Bakr after Muhammad's death. And this is narrated by Zayd ibn Thabit al-Ansari, who is one of those who used to write the Divine Revelation. Abu Bakr sent for me after the heavy casualties among the warriors of the Battle of Yamamah, where a great number of the Qurra were killed. Umar was present with Abu Bakr, who said, Umar has come to me and said, the people have suffered heavy casualties on the day of the Battle of Yamamah, and I am afraid that there will be more casualties among the Qurra, meaning those who know the Quran by heart, at other battlefields, whereby a large part of the Quran may be lost unless you collect it. And I am of the opinion that you should collect the Quran. Abu Bakr added, I said to Umar, how can I do something which Allah's apostle has not done? Umar said, by Allah, it is a really good thing. Now, the things that I want to pull out from here so far, and now I'm going to continue with it, but right now, we know that there was a great number of the Qurra that were killed. These are the people that knew the Quran by heart. Now, there was a fear that there was going to be more of the Quran lost. And it says here, and I'm afraid that there will be more casualties among the Qur'an, those who know the Quran by heart, at other battlefields. So in later battles, more people will die that know this by heart, right? So whereby a large part of the Quran may be lost unless you collect it. So what it's saying is these people that knew it by heart, we've actually lost some of that Quran. Now, if more die, we're going to lose a larger part of the Quran. Thereby, if they're losing a larger part, they would have already lost some part of the Quran. It wouldn't make sense to say we will lose a larger part if there was no part that was already lost. I just wanted to point that out already. Also, and I said to Umar, how can I do something which Allah's apostle has not done? So what's being said here is they want them to compile the Quran together, right? And write it down. Umar says, how can I do something which Allah's apostle has not done? This means Muhammad did not compile the actual Quran, and it gives indication that it wasn't even written down yet because it was in the hearts of these people that would have died in the battle of Yamama. Isa's device is not connected yet. Now I'm on another screen, so Isa, if I come back and I see it connected, I'll add you back in then. Now, continuing on here, it says a little bit later down, it says, you are a wise young man, and we do not suspect you of telling lies or of forgetfulness. And you used to write the divine inspiration for Allah's apostle. Therefore, look for the Quran and collect it in one manuscript by Allah. If he, Abu Bakr, had ordered me to shift one of the mountains from its place, it would not have been harder for me than what he ordered for me concerning the collection of the Quran. I said to both of them, how dare you do a thing which the Prophet has not done? Right? So the key parts here is that Umar actually believed that if Abu Bakr would have ordered him to go out and to shift one of the mountains from its place, that would have been harder that would have been easier for him to do than actually getting the Quran and getting the collection of the Quran. So this shows you how hard of a job that it would have been. There we go. We got Dr. Critical Thinker. Got everybody back up here yet so far. Good. Right on. Now, continuing on, it says, I found with Kuziyama 2 verses of Surat al-Tuba, which I had not found with anyone else. So, this seems to indicate that there's certain verses that certain people know, or certain surahs that certain people know that other people do not know. So, if there was people that died in the Battle of Yamama, and they were the people of the Qur'an, the ones that knew it by heart, and that we already understand that a part of the Quran had been lost already in that battle, and there was a fear that a larger part of that Quran would have been lost. And Umar is saying, Muhammad didn't even do this, guys. He didn't even collect it, and he didn't compile it into a book. That's not something that he did. So how can I do that? And then he's even like, now, if Abu Bakr would have said, I want you to move this mountain from here to there, that would have been easier than asking me to compile this Quran we already lost some of this Quran of. And then we found out that there are certain people that only know certain surahs and verses. So this would indicate to any normal, rational human being that if, in fact, we take the Quran as being, or if we take this hadith as being authentic, It's telling us already before the compilation or the collection of the Quran that there was already things missing from the Quran before they even started. And then that was the whole reason behind wanting to do the collection of the Quran. Now, I've got my friends here, Mr. John Isaac Radical. We've got always walking in love, Miss Connie. Dominic, how you doing, my brother? And
Good.
Dr.
Good.
Critical Thinker. Who wants to have the first stab at the cat here, people?
How's it going? Good.
Not doing too bad.
Wasn't there the story about the sheep that ate the Quran? Or was it Aisha's sheep that ate the Quran? And wasn't that in one of the I can't remember the.
It was hungry, bro. Come on.
Yeah.
Now come on, Dominic. Are you going to blame that poor helpless little goat for eating those miraculous words? Like, let's be honest, right? If my wife cooked me just something miraculous and it was in front of me, I don't think that she could fault me for eating it, right? In the same way, the Muslims believe that this Quran is some miraculous thing, right? And that goat was probably pretty hungry. So that goat seeing this miraculous piece of food sitting in front of it, could we really fault the goat at that point? I don't think we could.
No.
So, does anybody have any comments on the opening hadith that we were speaking about, on the reason why they wanted to compile the Quran? And do you guys agree that it indicates that we've already lost some of the Quran?
But the thing is, there's no actual canon. There's no proper canonization of the Quran anyway. So compared to the Bible, at least, is it Dr. Michael Kruger's? I can't remember work that kind of states that most of the early biblical manuscripts. So you have like the Gospel of say Paul's manuscripts. They kind of tend to be together, and the other kind of manuscripts. So you've got fairly early on with the Bible, you've got the manuscripts coming together. With the Quran, there's no one who actually decides, okay, this should go in the Quran, this shouldn't go in the Quran. With the Bible, it's all eyewitness accounts. It's all either people who knew Jesus or kind of were kind of friends with, like apostles or friends of the apostles. But compared to the Quran, you've got no one who knows Muhammad kind of putting together the Quran, and they don't even know whether the Quran's complete or not. So there's no actual kind of justification to say, okay, this goes in the Quran. But the thing is that's excluding the fact that most of this narrative is from the Abbasid narrative and not from the Umayyads. So that's the can of worms opened anyway. So
No problem. Thank you very much, Dominic, for your input. John, Rad, Connie, Dr. Critical Thinker, anybody else want to throw something out there?
Well, I mean, since you're offering, I'm kind of going to go with Dominic there. I don't think that the narrative that we're being told now, I'm a big fan of Jay, and what I see based on my research and his research is that what you notice is that that Islam or the Quran is starting to formulate under the fifth Umayyad Caliph. What's his name? Malik. That is where we see the first coin with the word Muhammad, which just means the praised one. It's not really a person, I don't believe. And then you go to the Dome of the Rock in 691, where it ties Muhammad as a messenger of Allah. But you really don't start seeing it being put together until the mid-8th century under the Abbasid Empire, or the caliphate there. And they were not very good buddies with the Umayyads. So, and I believe this whole, Bukhari, where Uthman burnt the Quran, I think that's a story. I think a lot of that stuff has been redacted back to the 7th century, because otherwise it wouldn't make any sense. And this is why they don't have any evidence. There's no evidence for Mecca. There's no evidence for actually a Muhammad. I'm still kind of on the fence about Muhammad. I don't believe that there was a prophet named Muhammad. I think Muhammad was just a title for the praised one. If you also look at the early, I think, Christian writings like John of Damascus, I did read a writing where it discusses or talks about a prophet in 634 AD. I think that's when they took over Jerusalem or some area in there. And it talks about a prophet. Now, Muhammad supposedly died in 632. Also, you'll notice that all the earlier writings, there's no mention of any group called Muslim. It's always Haggarites, Ishmaelites, Saracens, and I think the believers. How come in the 8th century, nobody knew what a Muslim was? But yet we're told that, Adam was a Muslim. So what I see is that there's a redaction going back to the 7th century, or supposedly the time that this Muhammad lived. But the problem is now that we're doing the same critical analysis that has been done of the Bible for like centuries, all these holes are just popping out left and right. It's no longer the standard narrative has holes. It's the standard narrative is a sinkhole. Nothing ties. There's nothing that they can tie it to. I mean, the Quran is void of any historical evidence. It's void of any archaeological evidence. Two of the things that the Bible does have, I'm not going to say 100%, but the reason we know certain cities and certain groups of people existed is because of the archaeological findings, and we're still finding, And by the way, who was it that told me about that documentary about Moses and the Pharaoh? Was that you, Chris?
Yeah.
Okay, that was great, and I can see where it's going, and that's damaging to Islam, because you know how they like to tell us, Allah said he would preserve the Pharaoh. What Pharaoh? See,
Yeah.
This is the other problem that I have with Islam and the Quran. Here's a God who is so vague, I could probably make it, mean anything that I want. Which Pharaoh? Is the Almighty Allah doesn't know the name of the Pharaoh? I mean, seriously. Anyway, that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, and just to comment on what you were saying there, Dr. Kufar Phobia, the documentary that I got him to watch, it's called Patterns of the Exodus.
Patterns of evidence.
Patterns of the Exodus, Patterns of Evidence of the Exodus, whatever, by James something Mahoney, I think it is.
Yeah, Tim. It's
Tim.
by Tim Mahoney. There's there's 4 of them, because the recent one is Red Sea? That you have the Red Sea 1 and the Red Sea 2.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But the one that I like is the one of the Exodus. So what they do, they go look up archaeological evidence and things to this nature. They point to different biblical truths, and they find the actual evidence for these biblical truths. And it completely blows Islam out of the water. And I really like the documentary. I think everybody should take a look at it and form their own opinion from it anyways. But just moving on a little bit to the article that I was referring to, I just want to go to one other part here. So there was an actual number of memorizers that died during this battle. And it was actually 450. So during the Battle of Yamama, 450 reciters of the Quran were killed. And you can find this in the True Guidance and Introduction to Quranic Studies, published by Light of Life. And it's citing Ibn Kathir's Al-Badiyah. I'm not even going to try to do that. It's the chapter on the Battle of Yamama. Now, according to another source, when these men died, they took with them portions of the Quran that they alone had memorized, as we were precluding from the last hadith. Now, this source comes from the John Burton, the Collection of the Quran, page 126 to 127 of Abu Bakr Abdullah B. Abdi Duad Kitab al-Musaf. So yeah, that's the reference for what I'm going to read. And it says here, Zuri reports, we have heard that many Quran passages were revealed, but that those who had memorized them fell in the Yamama fighting. Those passages had not been written down, and following the deaths of those who knew them were no longer known, nor had Abu Bakr, nor Umar, nor Uthman as yet collected the text of the Quran. So this is stating that there was people that had certain passages, certain surahs, certain ayats memorized of the Quran that died at the Battle of Yamama. And they were the only ones that knew those passages, and they were not written down by anybody. Now, this goes back to the previous hadith that we've already quoted, and where it says that they were afraid that a larger part of the Quran may be lost unless they collect it. This actually gives credence to why they were so worried about more of the Quran being lost.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
So, why did Umar not say to Zaid, like, just compile the rest of what is left from the Quran? He said, just compile the Quran. If all the Quran you're saying is missing and is forgotten and it's all this, why did he not say that to Zaid?
I'm not
and why
sure.
did Zaid not say that to him too?
Not
like,
sure.
We don't have the full Quran.
Why?
Because it
why
didn't miss. Because he never went missing. Everybody was memorizing the Quran. He had the whole
we have a
Quran.
Muslim with us today.
Yes. I am. I love
Awesome.
to join my pagan brothers. How are you doing?
Awesome. So, did your Allah call us pagans?
Yes.
So your Allah told your women told your men that you're not allowed to marry the Christian women, right? You're not allowed to marry them
Where did he say that?
because they're polytheists, right? Because you can't marry a polytheist.
Where did he say that?
Right.
Oh, so you are allowed to marry a Christian, right?
Where did he say that? I'm not saying that you're. I don't think you're listening to me. You're making
So
claims.
what I want to do, what I'm going to do, Mr. Muslim. Yeah, what I'm going to do, Mr. Muslim, is I'm going to teach you your Quran. So instead of just assuming that we're polytheists and just assuming that you're going to throw your own God under the bus, your God specifically said
you
that
need to teach me. You're talking.
That you Muslim men
talking.
can't actually marry any polytheistic women. You're not allowed to. But your God said that you Muslim men can marry Christian women. Therefore, your God distinguished the difference between polytheists and Christians. Therefore, Mr. Muslim, your God, if you still want to throw him under the bus, is actually refuting you. So, who am I going to believe, Mr. Muslim? Am I going to believe your fake God that you're supposed to believe in, or am I going to believe you're just ranting on the mic? Now, let's just go over his stupid objection first. Now, I know that there's not a lot of intelligent people like this out there. They definitely can't be intelligent if they're acting like this. So he says, well, why didn't Abu Bakr say this? Well, why didn't you address what was actually said in the hadith? Did these people know the Quran by heart? Did these people die in that battle? Was Abu Bakr upset, Umar upset that the larger part of the Quran may be lost if they didn't collect it and write it down? Didn't Umar say, how can I do something which their false Muhammad being apostle did not do?
But that also assumes that you have one Quran as well. When we know there's at least, you have the Hafs, you have the Walsh, you have different variations of the Quran. So which one did they memorize, or which was it, like the Tofka copy, or the first manuscripts, or was it the sign up? Which manuscript was it? I mean, so you have to assume which manuscript did they memorize. Well, because there's some kind of which actual Quran was it that they actually memorized? Because there's like 28, and there may be like 100 different Qurans. So which one was the actual Quran that they actually memorized?
So I'm not sure. What I'm going to do is I'm going to bring Mr. Muslim back up to the show now. Before you go off on your rant, Mr. Muslim, I'm going to ask you one question. Can you control yourself? Give me a yes or no, please. Can you control yourself?
Why are you blocking me? Can you answer my question and then I answer yours? Why are you blocking me?
Yeah. I'm not having you on the show so that you can demand us answer you. I'm just wondering if you can control yourself. I had a Muslim on the show earlier on my live stream that could control himself. He was a gentleman and whatnot. So there are people out there that can control themselves and they're a logical person, and they can have a nice discussion. And then you have people like this guy who actually used the name, and I actually had to remove him from the chat and ask him to change his name. He said, train fat people. That was his name, right? So he's body shaming people right away, which I could care less if he wants to or not.
So he would be shaming Kenny Boomer.
That's right.
He's
shaming Kenny right. Hey, I don't know much. Quit being a Islamophobe.
That's right. That's right.
And then he changes his name to I don't know much, which I probably am going to have to agree with him. He doesn't know much, especially when he wants to change his name to that very name. Now, he keeps calling me a worm. He keeps calling me a rat. Little do you know, rocks talk in your religion. So I could care less what you want to say about me. Trees talk in your religion.
Yeah.
Ants have a big old discussion, I think, with Solomon in your religion as well. So let's, we have the shaitan coming in and trying to disrupt us from what we're doing. So we'll just give him a nice little boot. And yes, I did kick the Muslim off the show. I just don't want to deal with trolls today. So if he wants to say, oh, they kicked me off the show. Yes, I did. You're a troll and I don't want to deal with you today. So back to what I was reading about Abu Bakr, nor Umar, nor Uthman as yet collected the text. And it continues on to say, those lost passages were not to be found with anyone after the deaths of those who had memorized them. This, I understand, was one of the consideration which impelled them to pursue the Quran during the reign of Abu Bakr. Again, that can be found in the collection of the Quran, page 126 to 127 of the Abu Bakr Abdullah B. Abdi Duad Kitab al-Musaf. I probably murdered that. Something fierce. But as we've said, right from the start of the compilation of the Quran, they didn't even have the whole Quran. And as our brother in Christ, Dominic, has already said, which Quran? Because we know at least 37 different Qurans exist today. I believe Hatun's up to 37 different Qurans, or has she found even more?
No, it's still at 37.
There was about 100. He said there was about 100 because you have all the readers and then you have the writers. So it was about 100 different Qurans in total. The physical copies, I think they had about 37, 38.
Well, she has 37 Arabic Qurans.
Yeah.
That are all different.
Arabic. That's a very important point about Arabic
yes,
Qurans.
Sir. Yes, sir.
Not English Qurans.
Yeah, and I just want to also say for the people into the chat, I know that we wanted to have a Muslim on here today, but did you notice the question that I asked him? I just asked him if he could control himself while he was on the show, and he wasn't even able to answer if he could control himself. So a Muslim that can't even control himself doesn't need to be on our show in the first place. Now, I want to just present one more thing. I know it's only about 35 minutes into it. After I present this one thing, I'm just going to have an open discussion about Islam for as long as we want to talk, and then I'll shut her down afterwards. If anybody has anything that they want to say about the Quran preservation or what we have to show. But I'm hoping that Mr. John Isaac is with us right now. Mr. John, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. I'm here.
Excellent. Can you see my screen, John?
Yeah, I see it. It speaks about Sana'a manuscript, lower text, and the standard or nowadays Quran text. I read and make a comparison. وأتموا الحجة والعمرة لله فإن أحصر ثم ما تيسر من الهدى. The words in red, it's like different. This is a Sana'a or right reading. I'll go to the left now. وأتموا الحج والعمرة لله فإن أحصرتم فما استيسر. It's completely different. تيسر means like if you can do. استيسر means if you do, if not can do. من الهدى ولا the other right to go to the right. حتى يبلغ الهدى محله فإن كان أحدا منكم مريضا أو به أذى من رأسه فدية من صيم أو نسك. Go to the left. ولا تحلقوا رؤوسكم حتى يبلغ الهدى محله فمن كان منكم مريضا به أذى من رأسكم ففدية من صيام أو صدقة أو نسك. One of them, the left one, shave your head, and the other one, there is no head. ولا تحلقوا. There is no head. Yeah, it is not shave your head. One with word on the left one, word رؤوسكم or your heads are added. It is not in the Sana'a lower text. There is no heads or your heads in Sana'a lower text. And we can continue. Also be أذى من رأسه ففدية. The other one من رأسه فدية is also there are words or letters added. One of them ففدية and the other one فدية only. It makes different in the meaning. If we continue on the left or the standard Quran of nowadays, صيام أو صدقة charity, صدقة, it's the third word in the third line is صدقة charity. The other one or the Sana'a lower text, we don't have it. It's صيم or أو نسك فقط only. There is no charity. And so on. Every line has at least one or two words added or letters added. Just one letter in Arabic changes the meaning.
Yeah, so the reason why I wanted to bring this up, and the reason why it's wonderful to have somebody like John here that it can actually read the Arabic and show you which parts within the Arabic have actually been changed. The standard text that he was reading, that's what's been added to from the Sana'a lower text. Now, the Sana'a lower text comes from the Sana'a manuscript. The Sana'a manuscript is one of the oldest manuscripts when it comes to the Quran. Now, when it comes to the Sana'a manuscripts, when you look at this manuscript, there is two levels of writing, a lower text and an upper text. So when the Sana'a manuscript was actually dated, it was the palimpsest or the actual manuscript parchment itself that was dated and not the actual text. So what we're doing today is we're taking what Muslims would read today, per se, in their standard normal Muslim text, and we're comparing it to the lower text of that Sana'a manuscript, and we're going to see how many variants or completely additions or deletions, per se, there are into the text. So in this one ayat alone, you can see at least 12 different changes. At least 12. That's just in one verse. Okay. Now, let's go ahead and get to the next one. Nope, that is the same one. So we'll go to this one now. John, can I get you to come back up to the mic and do this one for us as well?
Okay. Do you hear me?
Yes, sir. We hear you.
Okay. I'll begin with the right one. It's a Sana'a lower text. I read it in Arabic. إنما يعمر مساجد الله من آمن بالله واليوم الآخر وجهاد في سبيل الله ولم يخش إلا الله قد أولئك أن يكونوا من المفلحين. I'll go to the standard Quran nowadays text on the left. إنما يعمر مساجد الله من آمن بالله واليوم الآخر, not changed till here. وأقام الصلاة وآتى الزكاة. This part, it means make prayers and give like a charity or zakah. It's not written on the Sana'a lower text. It's added. ولم يخش إلا الله. It's there. And also jihad في سبيل الله, or making jihad for the sake of Allah on Sana'a lower text on the right is not in the standard Quran nowadays. Then there are the red one here in Sana'a manuscript is not in the left, and the red one on the left is not in the right or Sana'a lower text. ولم يخش إلا الله فقد فعسى أولئك أن يكونوا من المهتدين. Yeah, it's different. The word muhtadin or believer or guided people, muflihin means people who are successful people. It's two completely different words.
Yeah, so as you can see, and as John has confirmed as the native Arabic speaker, is that, again, we have so many differences in here. So the actual phrase, do jihad in the name of Allah, is not in the standard text that we have today. Instead of it saying...
I'm glad of that.
Well, yeah, I agree as well.
Even though chapter 9 is full of verses like that, I'm kind of glad of that one's not in it. Even like chapter 9 is like full of jihad verses. It's like... so, yeah.
I'm glad they changed it too. But you can definitely see how they've changed and do jihad in the name of Allah to changed it to establish prayer and give zakat. Now, as John read it and we could hear, you actually hear the word jihad. Can you go ahead and read that phrase one more time, do jihad in the name of Allah for us, John?
Okay, then I read Sana'a lower text on the right. إنما يعمر مساجد الله من آمن بالله واليوم الآخر وجهاد في سبيل الله.
So he even says the word jihad. So the jihad is in there. Now, again, can you just read the standard text where it says establish prayer and give zakat? And I want everybody to hear that is not the same as what John had just read.
إنما يعمر مساجد الله من آمن بالله واليوم الآخر وأقام الصلاة وآتي الزكاة.
So
no jihad,
and zakat are there. And the jihad in the name of Allah is not there. It's taken right out. And now the last word that is highlighted in red, John, can you read from the Sana'a lower text, the last word in red?
المفلحين.
And can you read the last word in the standard text, please?
المهتدين.
Now, can you hear the difference between the two words, people? Like, you can see the difference on my screen and you can hear the difference. And now it says here in the translation on the right side of the Sana'a lower text, of the successful. Is that a proper translation from that word of the Sana'a lower text, John?
Yeah, it's true. Muflihin comes from falah or success.
Okay.
Successful.
And the word on the right that's in red, the last word on the right in the standard text, that means of the guided, correct?
Yeah. It's muhtadin comes from huda or guidance. Then muhtadin, it's guided people.
The thing is,
Alpha D does a lot of the editing like this as well, behind the scenes, that a lot of us don't even know. And I've studied that as well, not for the 30 years, but just for the past, since I met Alpha D, I've been studying this as well. So there's no way that I'll be able to study all of the Quran because, it didn't remain even in Uthman's time. So Ibn Umar, so there is no way that I'd be able to read the whole Quran ever.
Because one thing that's also interesting is
study the whole Quran. Study the whole Quran. Yeah.
Didn't Jay say that the Quranic manuscript text originally came from the northern area? Say like it was the northern area text.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
he
Is
says,
it what? What's the question?
well, when you're dealing with like stuff like is it
The polemics.
No.
Polemics.
This is
Oh.
not to do with polemics. This is to do with the study of writing.
Oh,
So-
paleographics?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So when you're dealing with paleographs, the actual Quranic paleographs don't kind of line up with the Hijaz region. They line up more with the northern area. There's certain words that don't kind of correspond to things like that.
Yeah.
What I found it most interesting
He's looking into that. Yeah, they're looking into that.
because what I also found most interesting when John was reading that text, that there's like massive differences between the actual text. They're not just like small differences. They're almost like
Yes.
they're completely different words. So it's
Yes,
like, but the thing is, what I've also been interested in is that why. I mean, if you read the Quran, you find out, okay, this is because there's more references to Moses than there is to Jesus, and you just find. So was this like it brings up more questions than it does answers. Like you kind of think, okay,
it really does. Yes, sir.
So yeah, so why on earth were they referring to like apocryphal Christian literature or like apocryphal Jewish literature? Where on earth did they get it from, or stuff like that? So that's what. So with the fact of canonization, it's not only just so yeah. And what was its original? But if you kind of take away the say the Abbasid narrative, what was it originally for? Because some people, I think it was in one of the recent, he kind of refers to, I can't remember, Christian Luxemburg's work on the Syriac Quran, and he kind of states that it was for a lectionary. But the thing is, I've looked at, say, Christian lectionaries, and it wouldn't kind of correspond to, say, if you kind of, so if you know about early Bible manuscripts, what you have is you have papyri, you have lectionaries, you have I can't remember you have uncials and you have minuscules. So those are all the kind of things that you have to kind of combine the Bible. So lectionaries, they're normally used in the Church of England. Over here, you normally have like one New Testament passage and then one Old Testament passage kind of referred to in the actual kind of thing. So the Quran doesn't follow a pattern like that. It was just more kind of thinking, okay, so the Quran isn't like a lectionary. What kind of pattern does it actually follow?
To get people's heads for warfare, for fights. So they used a religion. You use the word God, and people, a lot of people want to reverence, their creator. So they figured, well, we'll get their heads with a religion and we'll get them to fight for us, and, we'll conquer lands. And that's what they've been doing, for 1,400 years. And they haven't stopped, I mean, Kenny Boomer claims Sharia is already in America, and that's treason. That's high treason right there, because we have a constitution already. And he's going against the Saudi Arabia king, so he would rebuke him. The Saudi king would rebuke people like Mr. Bomer.
Yeah, not to confuse people in the chat. When you see crossing the Crescent discussion group into the chat, it's actually me. Only because I'm the one that actually had to log in through StreamYard today. So I logged into StreamYard under the Crossing the Crescent discussion group name. So you'll see my name and my picture and everything else on the screen. But if I type into the chat that's here in StreamYard, it's going to show up as the Crossing the Crescent. So it's not Eric. Yeah, because I think it's Ask the Kafir Show was wondering if Eric was hiding in the back, and no, it's just I wish he was here, but no, he's a little busy. That's why we got it for him today. All right, so thank you very much, Dominic. I think you are 100% right, especially on the Hijazi script and how it identifies the Quran of being more of a northern type style, especially couldn't be from the Mecca and Medina area. I think Jay Smith and a few others, Al Fadi and whatnot, are doing wonderful research when it comes into the Petra and into the Arabic and to the northern Hijazi script and things to that nature. I definitely agree with you 100% on that. So I don't have much more to say on the fact. I did put into the chat 3 different articles written on this subject by Sam Shimon. I like to put Sam Shimon's articles in there. This is one of the people that I do study up on and read the material. The material that you do find on his websites are battle tested, meaning that these arguments have been used in debate already and then uploaded into PDF form for us Christians to strengthen ourselves in defending the scriptures and attacking those faulty argumentations that people bring against our Lord and Savior and or our scriptures. So I did post those links into the chat for everybody there as well. I don't have anything more to say on the perfect preservation of the Quran. So go ahead, guys.
One thing that I'm always interested in is what. So say with the Hafs Quran, because which manuscript lines up to the Hafs Quran? Because they don't do any.
None.
No manuscript. No manuscript.
So
all of them are different.
Yeah. John,
They've got a mess on their hands.
John, have you read, say, some of the like the Tofka copy or the early manuscripts of the Quran and just read them to the current? Have you read them at all?
Would he even be able to read them? Because the early manuscripts didn't have
Alpha
any
D is.
Yeah.
He's doing his master's on the Sunnah manuscript. Mm-hmm.
Oh, I posted a link for the people in the private chat. That is that book that I believe Chris picked up the charts from, the Sana and the origins of the Quran.
Yeah, go ahead and I'll put that into the chat.
Just in case anybody's interested in it.
Yeah, so the link that Dr. Kufarphobia is linking in, I just put into the YouTube chat for everybody as well.
Okay. Now, here's one thing, because most of us, except maybe for John, we know Arabic as much as we know Chinese. Right? But there is one thing that I think it's very important that everybody learns. Now, even though I can't read Arabic, the only word that I can see and understand is Allah, because I've seen that sucker so many times. But it looks like a snake. You can't miss it. But here's the thing that I've learned when I was doing the studies on the different qira'ats is if you study the diacritical markings, you can look at 2 almost identical words, and by looking at the markings, okay, you can tell that it's not the same word.
Yes, sir.
And this is what I've been trying to tell Muslims, because if you have a consonant that has a dot on the bottom and you have that same consonant with a dot on the top, it's not the same word. Like, for instance, John's logo right there. If that dot was on the bottom, it would be a different word. So as long as you understand the diacritical markings, you're way ahead of the game. Okay, and this is the thing that, well, I don't know if Muslims don't want to understand. They're having a conniption over these different qira'ats. I mean, Muslims tell me, no, it's the same word. It's a different pronunciation. It's a different recitation. It's a different accent. Well, first of all, how do you write down an accent?
Right, that's exactly right.
Okay, and how do you to write down a pronunciation is kind of funny. But here's the thing. If I'm reading a passage like chapter 2, verse 140, and in the Hafs it says, or do they say, now I may have it backwards, and then in the Warsh it says, or do you say, how in God's name is they say and you say the same?
Mm-hmm.
Or feed a poor person versus feed poor people? How is person and people the same words? I don't care about the meaning. You know, and they'll try to tell you, well, it's like in the US, you guys say color, C-O-L-O-R, but in the UK, we say color, C-O-L-O-U-R. That's not the difference that we're looking at. You and they has nothing to do with how you spell color. That would be like, you know, if you're from the South, you might say, you know, batata. And then if you're from another place, you might say potato. It's the same words.
Yeah, for the most part, they're not in the book. They're in the fight. And then because that's what the foundation was, is to get people to fight. So they're not in the book. They pretend to us that they're in the book, you know, and then when you call them on it, you know, they won't even admit the truth about their own book because they're not in the book. They're in the fight.
Now, here's something that's very damaging now. And I don't know how many of you guys know, but if you go to Quran.com, now you have access to that book that I have, the 10 Qirats, that basically shows you the difference between what certain Qurans say versus the Hafs. Now you can go into the Quran, and in the setup, you can pick that translation, the Bridges translation, and it will tell you the differences. You just click on it, and there's like a little footnote, and it'll say, you know, the Nafi Quran or the Ibn Kathir Quran, it says this word versus what the Hafs says. So it's right there in front of you. I mean, there's no hiding it anymore. And heck, I can't read Arabic, but I have 3, you know, Arabic Qurans. I think I have the Warsh, the Hafs, and the Kalun. I can look at the 2, you know, let's say 2 verses from each book. Now, it's a little hard. I'm learning how to read the Arabic numbers. But if I can find the 2 verses, and here's also the other problem. I think there's one Quran that learning how to read the Arabic numbers. Mm-hmm. But if I can find the 2 verses, okay, that's not me. I mean, I do like listening to myself. But also, I think, like, for instance, the Ahmadiyya Quran, in some Qurans, or I think maybe the majority, they don't, either they count the Bismillah or they don't. So you'll be off by 1 verse. So you have to be careful of that when you're comparing them. So like in one Quran, 532, you know, the famous whoever kills an innocent person, it might be 532. And the other book, it might, or the other Quran, it might be 533 or maybe 531. But it's the same verse. So with all that stuff that's out there, I honestly, I don't know how people can see the evidence, look at the facts, and still come up to the conclusion that the Quran is this miraculous book, that it's the unchanged speech of Allah, which, by the way, he never spoke a lick to anybody, maybe to the rocks. Good to see Radical finally fixed his connection. I mean, I just did a video on the, supposedly the tomb of Nabi Imran or Imrak. You know, it's like about 90 feet long. I mean, seriously, who believes in this crap? I mean, if you look at my video that I just uploaded, I did some math numbers based on how wide a person's shoulder is versus their height. I mean, for that length of it, that guy would have to have like 20 feet shoulders. And there's no way that that the tomb is 20 feet long. But these people believe this crap. I mean, they actually believe they have the footprint. I think it's a footprint of Abraham. Seriously, how do you know that it's Abraham? Anybody do a DNA test? Do we have a DNA test from Abraham? I mean, I don't.
Was he wearing Nikes, or what trades was he?
and if you look at the image of supposedly the footprint, the guy had a disorder because it doesn't look like a normal footprint. But how do you get a footprint preserved in a desert? It's sand.
Well, because Abraham wouldn't have even been around that area anyway. I mean, if you look along, say, the Old Testament passages, Abraham does
Dominic, the Bible. The Bible is corrupted. The Quran corrects it.
He doesn't even. He
Yeah,
doesn't
so
even
turn to our fight. Turn and fight with us.
he doesn't even go near the he doesn't even
Mhm.
go near the Hijaz region. I mean, the Hijaz region at all. So it's like,
Now, come on, you're sounding like an Islamophobe, Dominique.
That's right.
Come on, man.
That's
All
not.
right,
Get it
That's not
together, buddy.
I got to jump in here quickly, guys. Just going to jump in here quickly.
Yeah.
Mr. Radical Moderate, how about I unmute you because you're muted? Oh, I can't unmute you. They chose to mute
Hey,
themselves. Yeah,
Can you guys hear me now? Can you guys hear me now?
yeah, I can hear you now, man.
where's your advert, Radical? Have you got your
Okay,
advert?
no. So I think I figured it out, man. If I have my VPN turned on, I can hear Connie, and I can hear John, and then sometimes I could hear Chris. But most of the time, it was really weird. You guys couldn't hear me, but now you guys
Yes,
can hear
sir.
me.
Yeah, I
Yes,
can hear you
sir.
now.
Yes, we hear you.
Okay, so I figured out the problem. It's the VPN.
All
For whatever
right.
reason, it's screwing up my Bluetooth connection.
Well, there you
Weird.
go.
Okay. Well, we're going to keep
All right,
you now,
cool.
man. We're really
All
going
right.
to keep you now, Rad.
Sorry, I missed half the show. I could only hear a little bit. It was funny. I could hear John speaking all in Arabic. I'm like, what show am I in? And I could hear Connie. Connie says a lot of commentary that we don't hear because I could hear her clearly. And I'm like, okay. Anyway.
I'm in your head,
yeah,
baby.
Okay. So great show, guys.
Yeah, so
But,
the only other thing I wanted to say here too, I think we had John, Mr. John Isaac. Can you unmute your mic, sir? I think that you have a couple of points that you want to go ahead and speak on, and then we'll let Dominic go after you. Okay.
Okay. First point. If you read nowadays Quran, whatever the version, let us say about Hafs, there are many verses. If you read it, you find there are some words you can't understand. It's not. It's wrong. You should put another word in the same verse to make any sense. I'll give an example now, and I'll read the tafsir because tafsir exposes the corruption of Quran in this verse exactly. And I know Muslims will come. John doesn't understand Arabic. He doesn't know Arabic. Let them say what they want. Okay. This part I'll speak now. It's maybe too much Arabic, and but I'll put the link in the chat. We can share it on YouTube, whatever, to tell how Ibn Abbas, for example, Ibn Abbas say in tafsir that this verse is wrong. He said that by his tongue. I'll take the example, Surah 24, verse 27. Surah An-Nur, verse 27. If you can share it, please. If someone can share it here, because I can't share.
Okay.
Surah
What do we do?
Surah 24, verse 27.
All right, Surah 24, verse 27. Just give me 1 second here. Surah 24, verse 27. I'll do that. Bear with me 1 second now. We'll go ahead and get it onto the screen. There we go. I think you can see it on the screen.
Yeah, very good. I read the English translation first. Let us take Sahih International. Oh, you have believed, don't enter houses other than your own houses until you are a certain welcome and greet their inhabitants. That is best for you. Perhaps you will be reminded. Okay, the wording in English is very good, and it teaches Muslim they should take a permission to go house without before you go in the house. You should take a permission. If you read it in Arabic, this part in Arabic, I know may be hard for you to understand, but I'll concentrate on what I want to say. In Arabic, يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا تدخلوا بيوتا غير بيوتكم حتى تستأنسوا وتسلموا على أهلها. The word تستأنسوا doesn't mean take permission. This verse speaking about taking permission to go inside the house. تستأنسوا, this like the third word in Arabic you read from right to left. It is the third word from the left on the first line. تستأنسوا. This word means be enjoyable, be happy. Doesn't make any sense to put here in the verse. If you go to Tafsir Ibn Kathir in Arabic, you can't find that in English. The guy who translated that into English make corruption in Tafsir Ibn Kathir. What does Tafsir Ibn Kathir in Arabic says? I read in Arabic and translate. It says that, let us go down, and I put the link right away. Just give me seconds because it's a long one. And Ibn Abbas, it's Ibn Abbas, says that the verse should be لا تدخلوا بيوتا غير بيوتكم حتى تستأذنوا. It's different. تستأنسوا, this is that we have now in Quran nowadays, and doesn't make any sense. Anyone can read Arabic. My son can read it and say, what is that? What is the hell of that? It doesn't make any sense. And should be تستأذنوا. That's Ibn Abbas say. Not only Ibn Abbas, and also Ubay ibn Ka'b, and also Abdullah ibn Mas'ud. And we all remember that Muhammad said, take the Quran from 4 people. 2 of them was Ubay ibn Ka'b and Abdullah ibn Mas'ud. Then, and Ibn Abbas say at this end, as this is error from the writer. I mean that you have manuscript and there is like error in taking the verses from first manuscript to the other one. It's a scriptural scribal error, and it continues from the time of Ibn Abbas till our times without correction. I thought this part is only in Tafsir Ibn Kathir in Arabic. You can't find in English. The guy who translated hides this fact because he is dishonest and he wants to deceive the people in the West who can't understand Arabic. But it's clearly written in Tafsir Ibn Kathir, this verse is wrong and should be corrected this way as Ibn Abbas. I put the link here right away now. If someone can do it like Google Translate, can help much. Just give me a second, I'll put it right away. And it is not only this verse, there are some verses the same way. We have some verses, but you can't find that in the translation of Tafsir. Here you go. And this site, as you see, if you can read it from the chat, it's a Kingdom Saudi Arabia. It is not my site or a Christian site. No, it's the official site coming from Saudi Arabia. And there are many errors like that, many errors. And when you go to Tafsir, Ibn Abbas says this is error. And since like 1300 year with this error and no correction. This is first point. Second point. Although all these facts, we have many facts for the corruption of Quran inside Tafsir, inside Hadith, and comparing manuscripts, and even Muhammad said that Quran begin with 7 ahruf. We have now 14 readings or 10 readings. Let us not go with 36, but we have 10 readings accepted by Muslims. Yeah, then there is something changed. By logic, there is something changed. They were 7. Uthman ibn Affan made them 1, and now by Ibn al-Jazri, 800 years after Muhammad, they made them 14 or 10. Let us say 10. Yeah, how can I say that is preservation of Quran? By what logic?
Yeah, they're not even into logic. They're in the battle. You know, they're not thinking. Yeah.
If you go, and the number of verses, if you go Hafs and Warsh, for example, number of verses are different. Number of verses are different because they don't know some verses in Quran, some surah in Quran begin with 3 letters unknown, Alif, Lam, Mim. They put in the verse or without the verse. It makes sense because if we put another verse and let us say Alif, Lam, Mim, and you stop speaking, I can understand it different if I said Alif, Lam, Mim and they continue the verse. The stop, the point has the meaning, the marks has meaning in Arabic. We can't, it's different meaning. And although all these facts, but Muslims all the time. No, Quran is preserved. Quran is preserved down to the letter. But due to technology and internet and a lot of closed or nowadays research, they begin, like Shabir Ali said, no, we have difference in the readings, difference in meanings. But why Muslims do that? Why Muslims battling this fight? And it's close. It's clear for anyone. The Quran changed many times in every way, every level. Why they do that?
John, can you reclass
Their
that?
diversion. Their Quran is their diversion. The Qurans are their diversion.
John, can you reclassify it? Like, because isn't there different texts? So in the early manuscripts, you have like, so there's like the Hijaz kind of text, and then you have some other
I saw some early manuscripts. It's hard to guess because before dots and before the marks of grammar, you can get like 100 of expectation. You can expect different meanings. The word 3 letters, you can get a lot of words without the dots. I mean, for me it's hard. Maybe professionals can guess and get the words, but for me it's very hard.
So if you can't read it, then 90% of other Muslims can't read it as well.
Yeah, this is why there are professionals to do that and try to guess the right word. And they have
Wow,
they have the nowadays Quran. Yeah, they have the nowadays Quran. Yeah, it looks like Surah 18. It looks like verse 3. It looks like, yeah, then this word should be like that. They do that. I know Egyptian friend. He is Christian. He is studying the manuscripts of Quran. They are not much. They are very little, and he's doing that. And he showed me a lot of differences between. This is why when you asked me which manuscript is like Hafs, nothing. There is no manuscript like Hafs nowadays. And this from study, not like opinion. No, it's from study. I'm still asking the question for Muslims. Why do you fight this battle? For what? What reason? Because Allah promised in Quran, "Inna nahnu anzalna al-zikra wa inna lahu hafizun." Surah 15:9. He said that he will preserve the Quran. This is the last thing, because they can defend Islam from the behavior of Muhammad. It's very bad. It's very bad guy who have a long series of bad actions. They can defend Islam from the behavior of Sahaba. They are very worse. They are like criminals. Then the only thing is they ignore all Islamic history. They only concentrate on Quran, and Quran is a miracle from Allah, and he gave promise that he will preserve the Quran. This is the only thing. And even this is by tafsir, hadith, history, manuscripts, is gone. Nothing.
So what the Quran accuses us for is guessing. That's what they're doing.
Yeah, it's the opposite. It's the opposite. 180.
Yes, sir.
It's like Russian roulette with the Quran. They just kind of guess what they can have like a loop.
Yep.
And as you see, and instead of facing the facts, you see like the translators for example, the Surah 27 that I spoke, 24, Surah 24, verse 27, they changed the translation from the actual Arabic, and they hide the tafsir of Ibn Kathir, which shows that there is error in the verse. Look what they are doing.
Because you were quoting from the Sana manuscript, and the thing is, with those words that you're quoting from the Sana manuscript, they've had to put the dots. They've had to put the dots in specifically to kind of make out that they're even similar there. Would you say that's correct? So essentially the thingy, the actual diacritical marks.
Yeah.
When they translated the Sana manuscript, they would have actually had to put the diacritical marks actually in there because they weren't actually in the actual text.
They should put the points up and above the text. and the marks for grammar to get like verses comparable with the nowadays Quran. Without that, you can read like different readings as much as you can expect. Hundreds. For one line, you can find like 100 different reading.
Because also the fact of the root system as well. Because I know in Hebrew you like have three letter words make up like the root system. Is the root system different in classical, or slightly different in classical Arabic compared to say modern Arabic? I mean, do they come up? Are they similar? Because I know that with stuff like Old English and English, you would have different spellings for, say if you look up, say, the Tyndale version of the English Bible, you find out that the word John is spelled like 3 different times. But because there was no standard spelling until like the 17th century. So do you get that types of error even in the like early manuscripts of the Quran?
No, we have the same word. Not the same word in Arabic, but except the points and the marks for grammar, the points at the beginning or at the end of the word, the sentence, this stuff. But the same words we have, like Allah is the same, you in Arabic is the same, anta means anta, it's the same. All words the same, no change.
Yeah.
Spelling may be different little, but when we do like put the grammar, we put like, for example, Ibrahim, which Abraham in English, Ibrahim, we can there is like there is like they put alif in the middle, or put like mark with extension. Then we say it Ibrahim, but it's the same. It's the same with no problem. We can get it like this or like that. But as I give here an example, the example is the word itself doesn't make sense. That can't be in the sentence in this way. It's completely different. It is not like spelling. It's the word itself. Yeah, we have it in Arabic, but in another position, in another statement. We should put another word here. This is a big difference.
Yeah.
And even you see today, you saw today, al-muhtadin, al-muflihin. They are 2 non-Arabic words. We know them well, but completely 2 different meaning.
Yeah.
Completely 2 different meaning.
So that would be Arabic and the studies etymology, the history of words as they change over time.
Yeah, but not the extent that like muhtadin and muflihin, for example, or tastazinu and tastanisu, because we have like evidence from the tafsir or tafsir ibn Kathir that saying no, this is error in the verse. Yeah, you can say that some words are changing meaning from time to another, but it is not like the errors that we saw today, because these words are, both of them we have nowadays, and we know its meaning, their meanings well, but this word cannot be in the verse here because it doesn't make any sense. And this is what Ibn Abbas say, Khalid ibn Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, and Ubay ibn Ka'b. And who knows more than these guys? Who knows more than them? No one. They are the best.
Also, before we get into going too far, I've got one other thing that I want to show here, and I'm going to need our friend John just one more time. So I'm going to share my screen here again, and we're going to get this up here. All right, so we can see what's in front of me again, John?
Yeah, I see it.
Excellent. Can you go ahead and tell us the differences between the 2 texts again, sir?
Sure. I'll go with the right one. صنعاء lower text. استغفر لهم أو لا تستغفر لهم. إن تستغفر لهم 70 مرة لا يغفر الله لهم. And go to the left. استغفر لهم أو لا تستغفر لهم. إن تستغفر لهم 70 مرة فلن يغفر لهم. First one, لا يغفر الله لهم, means Allah is not forgiving لا يغفر له. The second one, فلن in the future. He will not forgive.
And then
فلن.
also with
Hey, can you guys hear me?
yeah, we can hear you again, man. What's up?
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah,
What's up?
yeah. What's up?
It's
Well,
different.
somebody
One
else
of
is
them.
talking. Who is John talking to? Because I can't hear that person.
Oh, me, Chris, and John.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Okay, can
Yeah,
John,
we can hear you.
John, can you tell him it's
Well,
me
no, I
and
don't
you?
think.
Yeah.
John, who are you talking to? Because I couldn't hear that person. Somebody asked you a question, and I couldn't hear that.
Yeah, we are reading Sana'a lower text and Quran nowadays standard text.
But tell him it's Chris
All right,
and me
somebody
speaking.
asked you a question. I couldn't hear it. So, I don't think everybody can hear me. I think I can only you, John, and Chris. I don't think can hear me.
We
What's
hear
that?
you, but not clear.
We can all hear you, Rad.
We can
Can
all
you
hear
hear
you.
Chris? Can you hear Chris?
All right. Okay. Just making sure. All
I
right.
can hear Red
Continue on.
just beautifully.
All right. Okay. Cool. So I heard. Who else is all in the room? I can't see here.
Did you hear
Dr.
Chris though?
Phobia. We got
Oh, apparently you can't hear me or
John.
Connie.
Yeah,
We
apparently.
got
not.
who else
Yeah,
is there?
I hear you. I hear you.
I'm
Rad?
here.
Can you hear
Right,
me,
you're here,
John?
but
Rad?
and Chris. Okay. All right. No, I'm sorry to interrupt. My fix is working. So, okay, go ahead.
All right,
Continue
so
on. I'm sorry.
all right, so John, continue on from where it says never will Allah and Allah will not, because of course it's different tenses
Yeah.
that were
Yeah.
used there. What's the next part that's different that we see?
Let's go with the right one. Sana'a lower text. لا يغفر الله لهم إن الله, with the saying the right left one. فلا يغفر الله لهم. إن Allah is not there, but there is something else. ذلك بأنهم كفروا بالله ورسوله. It is not in Sana'a lower text. In Allah means Allah. That's it. And the other one, it means and they disbelieve in Allah and His Messenger.
Excellent.
Then completely
Man,
different.
that's huge. That is so blatant, you know.
Because the context of this is Surah 9, isn't it?
Yeah.
So this is like
Yes, sir.
this is like the violent verses. This passage again.
Yeah.
So it's also kind of taking, it's the opposite of what kind of Jesus says, like forgive them 70 times 7.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and this is where we see the because a lot of Muslims will like to say in John we see a progression they see a progression in the text. We actually see a progression from the Sana'a lower text to the standard text that we have today of the Quran. We can see that they've added in. That is because they disbelieved in Allah and His Messenger.
That's major. That's major. Essentially, that they're putting Muhammad in the actual text where he's not, like under the messenger when he's not actually there.
That's exactly what they've did. Is they've added Muhammad to the text when he wasn't there. Again, Muslims, you're adding to your Quran. Come on now. Like, these things are so obvious. I don't understand why Muslims even...
See, they're being the disobedient ones because they're adding to Allah's perfect and clear Quran, right?
Exactly.
So that means that Allah can't forgive them. Because
that's exactly right. They live unforgiven, and they don't even realize it.
Well, and the whole thing is too, when I did my live stream earlier and we did it on atonement, I was going to say, but we had a Muslim on there, but I had planned on saying, if we had nobody on there, that in the Bible we see the plan and the execution of salvation fully displayed in the Bible. So we see what God has planned, and we see the execution of this plan in the whole entire Bible. So we can go right from Genesis, right from Adam and Eve, them being covered, in skins. So we know that there was an animal that was sacrificed. There was blood shed at that point for the first sin
Yep.
ever. And we can go right to the crucifixion of our Lord and Savior for the final blood that was shed for the remissions of sins. And this is for all times. So we can see that full plan of salvation play out to its fulfillity in the Bible alone. So my question would be
From
to
Genesis
Muslims.
to Revelation.
Yeah,
Mhm.
my question to Muslims is, since we see the entirety and the fulfillment of salvation in the Bible, why do we need Islam?
That's right. We don't. Truth is, we don't.
But the thing is, we can also back up the stuff historically
Man,
as
that's
well.
a good word, Chris. My goodness.
Because
Sorry, but that was great.
We have the soteriology, but we can also say the aspects of say David. We have the tell down inscription. We have the Hebraic inscription for Moses. We have, I can't remember which is it, the Sinai inscription. So for even Gideon, I think there was an inscription for Gideon that was found recently. So for Isaiah, there's like a bulle with Isaiah's name on it. With Hezekiah, there's a bulle with his name on it. So you can't do that with the Quran. The Bible's both historically true, theologically true, and it's based in time and history. And we can actually go and look at its manuscripts. We can actually find we've got the manuscripts of date. I mean, I think it's a Dr. Phil. He says truth corresponds to reality. In the Bible, you can. It's not both that Jesus kind of came to die for our sin. That it's one of those most foremost facts in history. From Genesis to Revelation, it's both historically true and theologically true.
Yes, sir. Excellent.
Yeah.
Hey, welcome, Mr. DL Tate. How are you doing to the show today? It's been a while since I got to talk to you, brother. How you been up to? Oh, you're just gonna ghost me like that, eh, DL?
DL, speak, please.
Not sure if you know you're muted, DL, but you are muted. If you were trying to speak,
DL.
maybe I caught him at a time that he left AFK-ish. So what I want to do, guys, is we have been on here for almost an hour and a half. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give everybody 2 minutes, starting with John. This will be the lineup. We'll do John. We'll do Kufar Phobia. Then we'll do Connie, and then we'll go to Dominic. We'll give each person 2 minutes to give their final thoughts on what you feel of the Quran, perfectly preserved narrative that the Muslims like to portray. Go ahead, John, starting with you.
Preservation of Quran is a complete lie. We see here evidences from tafsir. We see evidence from the manuscripts. We see evidence from changing the number of qira'at, beginning from 7 at days of Muhammad, then coming to 1 at days of Uthman, then coming like huge number 800 years after Muhammad, then going down to 10 readings or 14, 800 years of Muhammad. Then there is no need to fight this battle. I'm telling Muslims there is no need to fight this battle and say no, Quran is preserved, Quran is preserved. Even your own scholars confirmed that it's Quran changed and different readings have different meanings. Then what you should think about it, that does Allah say in Quran that he will preserve it or not? Yes, he said that in Surah 15 verse 9. Could he save the Quran from corruption? Could he preserve Quran? No. We have many evidences, a lot of evidences. Then think about it. Try to take some time to think and be honest to yourself. That's it.
Alrighty, thank you so much,
Thank you.
Mr. John Isaac.
John.
I'm not sure if Dr. Kufar Phobia is there. I know that he did put into the chat that he.
I'm back.
All right, excellent.
Hey, John, where exactly in the Quran does it say that Allah is going to preserve the Quran? Because that verse that you used, it never says Quran. It says the dhikr or the reminder.
Yeah, but if you read the context of the verses, Allah was speaking with Muhammad. Then zikr here means any words of Allah, Torah, Injil, Zabur, and Quran. But these verses, if you go by tafsir, they say zikr here is only for Quran. If you go by tafsir.
What's the verse? What's the actual verse?
15, I think 15:9. But here's the thing.
15. I'll check now. So
John, why do I need the tafsirs that are 300 years after the fact when Allah in His holy book says it's clear, it's explained, and every verse has details? Now, in 69 verses, Allah was very clear. He used the word Quran. Are you trying to tell me that in 15:9, Allah had a brain fart and couldn't remember the word Quran?
Maybe.
He couldn't say, I am going to protect the Quran, because his other books were also the reminders.
Yeah.
And he says that no one can change his words. So if the Zabur is the words of Allah, if the Injil is the words of Allah, if the Torah is the words of Allah, the Quran is the words of Allah, how come he could only protect the Quran, but he couldn't protect his other words? See, I don't understand the lack of logic that Muslims possess, even by the most highly educated. And when I say educated, I'm talking about Muslims who are college educated in the West. I have Muslim friends that are doctors, and they believe this crap. Now, I do like to play a doctor, but I don't have a PhD. But I have a freaking brain that I can reason. I have critical thoughts. And when I read this stuff, it's like Allah is like, I don't know, a petulant little 5-year-old who can't even remember what he wrote 3 chapters ago. And I'm supposed to believe that he's going to protect the Quran, but he can't say, I will protect the Quran. He just says a reminder. But his other books were reminders. You see what I'm saying? This is all BS.
I think Nim Grace had it correct into the text. Our sister was very, very accurate on this remark. It's because the Islamic Allah was drunk. That would make a lot of sense, actually.
What does it mean when it says in verse 15, verse 10, and he certainly sent you before among the sects of the former peoples? John, what does the former peoples mean?
Let me check it. Just seconds. The next verse, 15:9. Let me.
15:10.
15:10.
Yeah, I don't like too much dead air in here, and I know Eric is the same as me. So whenever you're ready, John, just go ahead and let me know, and I'll just stop flapping my big mouth. We just got DL back into the chat. Maybe he wasn't able to talk last time. DL, are you able to talk this time, sir?
Yes, sir.
There he is. There he is. He's not leaving me cold again this time. Hallelujah. Anyways, how you been, DL?
I'm fine. I'm a little tired, working some overtime, so I kind of jumped in the show a little late. But
hey,
seems like you all are talking about a good subject, preservation of the Quran.
Oh yeah, the perfect preservation of the Quran, right, DL?
You have to know on the
there's some good points that was made. Number one, the contradiction of the Quran on numerous occasions. I think I have listed 15 times, claims that it's a book whose verses are explained in detail. Surah 6, 114 says that it's a book that explains everything. Yet, I believe based on Surah 33:21, it claims that Muhammad is the so-called perfect example for Muslims to follow. and that verse right there somehow justifies or validates them using the Sunnah, the Ahadith, and then the Tafsir. But I'm of the same opinion as what does he call himself? Kafir, the multiple name individual on the panel.
Oh yeah, Kufar phobia, Dr. Thinker. Yeah.
Okay.
That's me.
I agree with kufar phobia when I'm talking to Muslims and I ask them a question as it pertains to the Quran. The minute that they go to a hadith or tafsir to explain explain to me the question that I asked them is the minute that the Quran has contradicted itself, because the Quran should be the final word, the final authority. It should explain itself clearly, yet it doesn't. So they have to go outside of it. They have to go outside it, even in explaining, providing context and outlines for biblical stories. So now they have to appeal to something that's corrupted to justify something that's been perfectly preserved. So those are those contradictions that I see. It hasn't been perfectly preserved. There are numerous books. I've read about 3. I'd say Brubaker, Keith E. Small, and what's the other guy's name? Anyway, all of them have books on textual criticism of Quran manuscripts. Anybody can get access to them, particularly on Amazon.com, and educate yourself, and you guys will see that this book has not been perfectly preserved.
Well,
Excellent. So just because we got to cut down on some time, I'm going to ask our dear sister in Christ, Connie, if she would like to go ahead and come up for her 2 minutes.
Yep. Okay. This is my 2 minutes. I got this from Jay Smith, and he was asking, what about the 30 different Qurans that exist today? What about the 93 differences that you have between these Qurans? Now the 93,000 was by Mr. Powers that Jay knows. I forget his first name. Okay. And what about the fact that none of these Qurans came from the century that Muhammad came from? And if you have your originals, can you show me the original one, where it is? Where is the Quran that Uthman sent to the 5 cities in 652 AD? Show me just one of these Qurans. And the last one, show me one ancient Musaf containing 114 surahs that is exactly like the Hafs Quran you have today, word for word, letter for letter, as you boast of. In a sense, the Quran is on sinking sand.
Amen.
So that's my 2 cents.
Amen. Thank you very much, sister. Right to the point, and I'm going to have to get this off the screen. So we'll do this, and we'll stop sharing. There we go. All righty. Thank you so much, dear sister Connie. I believe that Mr. Dominic, you're up for your 2 minutes, sir.
My problem with the preservation of the Quran is that there's no Quranic pottery fragments or kind of things like that. Essentially, if there was a perfectly preserved Quran, you think there would be some archaeology with like Quranic pottery fragments. There's more chance of the Quran being perfectly preserved than being run over by. You've got more chance of being struck by lightning than the Quran being perfectly preserved, or kind of winning the national lottery. So yeah, the absurdity, the fact of that the manuscripts don't correspond to the current manuscripts we've got. We've got the fact that the actual different texts that you have in the Quran are in a completely different Arabic script compared to, say, modern Arabic. You have the fact of many different problems. You've got the fact of in the in stuff like al-Bukhari that Muhammad's or Aisha's sheep ate the Quran, or the fact that the Quran was lost in battle, that the people who memorized the Quran lost in battle. You've got the fact that most of the things that talk about the preservation of the Quran are written by the Abbasids and not by the Umayyads. So there is a whole host of things that stop the preservation of the Quran, and that's only the few that I can think of off the top of my head. So.
Alrighty, thank you very much, Brother Dominic.
Thank you.
So that DL, it is the end of the show. Did you want up to 2 minutes to voice any more opinion on this perfectly preserved Quran, or?
I just have a question. I'm not sure if I know the answer myself.
I'm thinking, DL, you're legging out on us.
We can't hear you.
Oh, am I?
Yep, there you are. Nope,
Sorry
you're gone
about that.
again. You want to try again, DL?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
The manuscript that Hafsa had.
Yeah.
Can you all hear me? That was a copy of the Quran that was originally put together by Zayd bin Thabit, right?
I believe that Hafsa gave up her Quran to Uthman, and then Uthman
Right, so-
gave it back to her.
Okay, and he used that Quran to standardize.
Basically, yes. Yes.
Okay, so her
Yeah,
copy
supposedly
was,
make 5 Qurans. Hmm.
so her copy was the copy that she had was a copy of the one that was originally put together the first time by Zayd bin Thabit, right?
You could say that is the archaeotech of the one, yes.
Okay, so if that's the case, then why would it have to be recollected? Why would it have to be standardized?
I get that's very good question. Question to our Muslim friends: if the Quran that Hafsa had is the Quran that Uthman used basically to standardize the Quran to furthermore, because we do know that he burnt every other Quran and sent that one back to Hafsa, it says. So it would indicate that would have been the most authentic Mus'haf at the time. Our DL's question to the Muslims out there, hopefully we can get an answer on this one of these days, is why wouldn't Hafsa's Quran just be the Quran? Why did it have to be collected
5 more.
and remade at Uthman's time? Why couldn't they just have Hafsa's Quran? I agree with your question, DL, and that's a question that Muslims need to answer.
And where is it? Source it, like Jay says. Source it. Where is this book at?
I agree. So that'll finish off today's live stream. We've been on for an hour and 45 minutes. I'm pretty sure Eric will be happy of the content, of the time, and it was a really good show, I find. We put out a lot of information out there. So to everybody out there listening to us on YouTube, because I don't think we made it to Facebook, because I don't think Eric set it up correctly, but let's not hold them to it. But anyway, thank you all very much for tuning into the show. We will be back with you live at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Tuesday evening. So until then, God bless, and we'll see you all later.
Bye.